As anyone who has played Battlefield 5 will know, the game at launch has proven to be somewhat lacking in content. Although more content is being added with the live service, some say it simply isn't enough, or that the content doesn't feel varied. Furtherly, another common complaint is that the tides of war and the content that comes with it doesn't fit the theme of the chapter it claims to be based around. With the Overture update, we've gotten the map Panzerstorm, based around the Nazi invasion of Belgium and the mobile warfare tactics known as Blitzkrieg that they utilize. The map is a divisive one, but undeniably fun for vehicle mains. The sprawling, wide open hills and empty sky make for a fun dynamic between planes above and tanks below, while still maintaining some infantry focused areas. However, it doesn't quite seem to capture that feeling of a lightning war in my opinion. Although it put a smile on my face seeing a column of tanks moving down the countryside with the wonderful legacy theme in the background, it wasn't long before it felt less like a blitzkrieg and more like a typical conquest game, just with a few more tanks. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoy Panzerstorm. Although I'm not a great vehicle player, it does allow for some fun combined arms warfare that's not provided on most Battlefield maps. To scratch this itch, I suggest that DICE adds a new game mode that focuses solely on vehicular gameplay. For what this game mode entails, I have an idea. I wouldn't necessarily call it original. Hell, my own current idea is based around an existing game mode, but I still want to go a bit in depth. Battlefield 3 released the Armored Kill expansion pack with the premium service, including 4 maps, 6 new vehicles, and a new game mode, Tank Superiority. In the game mode, there was a single objective near the center of the map that 2 teams would fight over, essentially a king of the hill. Alongside a single main battle tank and an army of tank destroyers, infantry were also involved. Engineers would repair friendly tanks, and recons would spot the enemy tanks. Personally, I never played this game mode much. I was never a fan of vehicle gameplay at the time, and having only one objective led to what I thought was a manic explosion fest, similar to playing an infantry meat grinder map such as Metro or Locker, except replace infantry with tanks. What I suggest is a game mode similar to Tank Superiority, but with an even heavier focus on vehicular combat. No infantry with their Panzerfaust, dynamite, or spotting scopes. Even with the Panzerfaust nerf, I think 2 at this point, I still feel like having assault players allowed in the game will lead to some moments where a single infantryman can take out a single tank, which kind of defeats the purpose of the game mode in my opinion. To put it simply, I believe a 16 versus 16 tank only game mode is essential to capturing that feeling of lightning war advertised in the Overture and the Lightning Strikes update. My first idea for such a game mode is based around the current Conquest game mode, with very little changes from the core game. However, there could be some interesting mechanics thrown in for more tactical gameplay. The way I envision this game mode playing out is a standard Conquest game with all the same rules applying. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. However, I believe the objectives would need to be altered in order to balance them out for large-scale tank gameplay. Using the current set of objectives, especially on maps like Hamada and even the middle section of Panzerstorm, would not be suited for vehicular gameplay, mostly due to their small capture size, but also because they're in closed spaces. How these objectives would have to be altered I cannot say. I won't pretend I know as much as any developer does. Although I did create some mock-ups just to display what I mean. I've likely imagined these objectives in far too linear of a fashion, but I'm sure you get the point. Something missing in current Battlefield 5 Conquest game mode is the importance of taking specific objectives. Older Battlefields, even Battlefield 4, rewarded the teams that took objectives with typically more vehicles or other powerful buffs. There is an argument against having buffs to the team that takes an objective. However, I do think that it's definitely worth the payoff. Battlefield 3 had the gunship and dropship. Battlefield 4 in 1943 had the bomber when entering the air raid bunkers, and so forth. This adds a bit of tactical depth to the core gameplay, making certain objectives more important depending on your team's current situation. To add depth to a tank-only game mode, I suggest that the reinforcement tanks, the Churchill Crocodile and the Storm Tiger, can be one of these benefits to capturing an objective. On top of that, maybe certain objectives would provide a resupply station, making them vital for maintaining an offensive. My idea isn't complicated, I don't want it to be. I believe it is an idea that works great in theory, but I'll admit I don't know how it would play out in practice. Maybe 16 versus 16 is too many and it should be 12v12, or having no infantry would only hinder rather than help the experience. Perhaps tanks are just too poorly balanced at the moment to make a game mode like this enjoyable. But maybe, just a maybe, is a good idea that DICE might give a listen to. Either way, the point of this video is to get people thinking about it, get people talking about it, so that just maybe these ideas will be implemented into a new game mode. That is all for this video. Tell me what you think of the new game mode idea, and I'll see you on the battlefield.